Nice.
Laurel, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
But I can't, you can't see me for some reason. I don't know how to do that.
No,
The bottom of your screen, there should be like stop video or start video. And if you click that, it should,
Start and stop.
is it? Yeah, try hitting that and see if it comes.
Stop and start.
Yep.
There you are.
Hey. Hi, Aunt Denise.
Long time no see.
Long time no see. I'm so glad you logged on today. This is awesome. Yeah.
So I just want to let you know that I'm having issues with my camera today. I'm trying to start the video, but it keeps telling me I can't connect to my camera. So I'm sorry I don't have my video on. It's not intentional.
It's fine. We get to stare at your beautiful, lovely purple hair. Okay.
Someone had that problem in another meeting I was in the other day, and it turned out there was like a button, one of the F buttons had a little camera on their keyboard, and if you hit it, it turns off the camera.
Oh.
Back to it. So you might want to look and see if you have one of those.
All right, let's try this one. No, that's not the right button. I'll have my husband's an IT person. I'll ask him when he gets home. Another
Mine
one
is too.
Well, I was just on a Zoom call before this one, and they said he had the problem one time. Oh, maybe this is the camera one. No, that's the one I just hit. He said he just turned off his computer and turned it back on again, and it went right away. So
Yeah, sometimes that works.
I didn't have a chance between the two Zoom calls to do that. So anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead and get started.
You're totally fine. This is all banter. All right, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Hot Cocoa with Sprinkles. Our overview today is we will be hosting a class on how to make a few different types of homemade hot cocoa. Our goals are to learn just how easy it is to make hot cocoa at home, to get comfortable with our 3 recipes so we can make them at home ourselves or with friends and family, and then to enjoy our hot cocoa and watch the tree lighting ceremony in Ovid on the 21st of November on Zoom.
No, it's Sunday. Whatever date Sunday is. I think it's the 22nd.
This is 22nd. Okay, whatever.
It's Sunday, and it's from 2 to 4:30. 2:30 to 4.
Brilliant.
At least
So I've prepared an ingredient list for us today just to go over our 3 recipes. You will need unsweetened cocoa powder, granulated white sugar, chocolate chips, or unsweetened chocolate bar, milk. This can be dairy or not dairy, but dairy. Heavy cream or half and half, hot water, salt, vanilla. And then for your toppings, you can include marshmallows, whipped cream, fudge. You can even put cinnamon on it, whatever you like to top your cocoa with. Our equipment list is a small saucepan, whisks, a knife and cutting board. That's if you have your unsweetened chocolate bar and you need to chop it up into little bits. We've got our measuring cups, our measuring spoons, which are all in my ingredients already, and then coffee mugs and spoons. So as you notice, all of these recipes serve 4, but if you are familiar with converting recipes, you just half whatever ingredients, or you quarter your ingredients to do 1 portion, 2 portions, etc. And if not, you can always find a recipe converter online and put in the recipe, and they will do all of the hard mathsicles for you. For our first recipe, we have a simple powdered hot cocoa mix. This is normally what you find. This is closest to what you would find in packets in the stores, but we're going to do it homemade together right now. So because I'm only one person and I cannot drink 12 cups of hot cocoa, I have made my recipes personally into a 1 serving thing. So on your recipe, it says 1/3 cup unsweetened hot cocoa. I am going to do 2 tablespoons of hot cocoa, and this goes directly into your saucepan. Hot cocoa has a tendency to lump, so if yours is lumpy and if you have a strainer nearby, I'd highly recommend straining it. Then I have for our sugar, our recipe says 3/4, but I have 1/8 of a cup of sugar. And then a little tiny teaspoon, or a little pinch, not even a teaspoon, of salt. Salt and chocolate are best friends. If you ever make any recipes with any chocolate, you always want to add a little bit of salt just because it brings out the life and the flavor. All right, so we have mixed that together. Now the next step of the recipe is boiling water. I have a really nifty water boiler right here, so I'm just going to use that. But you can also just boil water in a saucepan. You can stick it in your microwave, whatever really is easy for you. While we're waiting for that, we will get our milk together. I have only 1 cup of milk. Our recipe says 3.5 cups of milk. So that is what I'm going to do for me. And then we'll just take a look at our instructions while we're waiting for that water to boil. So once you've combined your dry ingredients, your cocoa, salt, and sugar in your saucepan, then you blend in the boiling water. You bring that mixture up to a quick boil, and this helps dissolve any sugar, any cocoa powder that's in the mixture already, just so you don't have lumpy hot cocoa and some random pockets of powder. Measurements, that's correct. So for me, I'm only going to do 1 tablespoon of hot water. Excuse my phone off in the distance. Of course, it's my dad calling me. Why would it not be my dad calling me? So what we're doing right now is I've turned my my temperature on my oven, my stove to low, and we are heating up our water, cocoa, sugar, salt mixture. Once you get everything nice and even, it says bring to a boil for 2 minutes. You don't necessarily have to do this for 2 minutes. It's just got to bring it up to a boil to melt everything.
Which one?
Now, if at all possible, because hot chocolate is so simple, excuse me for a moment. I need to call you back. I'm doing a live thing on Zoom right now. Okay. All right, I gotta go. I love you. Bye. You know when they call 2 times in a row, you got to answer at that point.
Right. Right.
No panicking your parents. It's
That's right.
Well, he was supposed to come to visit me today and then just told me he couldn't, but he'll call me back in a little bit. So, all right. Now we've gotten this to a low simmer by right now. Let's see if I can switch to speaker view so I can see what I look like. Yay, there we go. Brilliant. Okay, so my light in my kitchen is terrible, and you have to forgive me. Just take my word for it. We have reached a boil, and the thing is with this is you want to keep stirring constantly because it will scorch. So now that we've gotten that to a boil, stirring, 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 whisking, 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 we will add our milk. And this is 1 cup of milk. And then if you have vanilla, you can always add it in. More flavor is not your enemy when it comes to hot chocolate. As I was saying before, because it is so simple in ingredients, the better ingredients that you get, the richer your hot chocolate will be. So they have Hershey's, they have Toll House, different cocoa powders. But if you could splurge a little extra for the special cocoa powder, I'd highly recommend it. So we've got our salt.
sometimes you gotta be nice to yourself.
Sometimes you gotta splurge a little bit.
Go the extra mile.
So I just did a teeny, teeny, tiny pinch of vanilla in my hot cocoa.
This is making me want some.
I will make you hot cocoa after. She wants hot cocoa every day. It doesn't matter.
So do I. So I'm not objecting to that at all.
Well, and I'm such a Swiss Miss user. I really like the idea of being able to make it homemade instead of buying the packets, you know?
Yeah, you have more control over everything in the recipe. So right now we have whisked everything together and we are going to pour it into our lovely mug. And that right there is our first recipe. And then we take some of our baby marshmallows. I went to the Amish store and actually found a large container of mini marshmallows.
Oh.
Oh, those are even like the even minier minis.
Yes, I know. They're the actual, like, it found in the packet hot cocoa marshmallows, which I was very excited for.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it was only like $3 for all of those marshmallows because I'm actually working on making hot cocoa bombs, the new fad across the nation. So,
Yeah.
I've been requested by numerous people to make it.
Well, if you can figure it out, we'll do another Zoom.
Oh, goody. All right, and that's a really good cup of hot cocoa, if I do say so myself.
Plus, you have no preservatives in it because you made it.
Right.
Exactly. There's no extra added cellulose powder, which helps keeps things from caking. I was actually just shopping for Parmesan cheese of all things, and Parmesan cheese, because it cakes so often, actually has cellulose powder added to it, and any extra ingredients, we're like, why? You don't need that stuff. So I actually searched out a brand and found out that 4C actually makes Parmesan cheese without cellulose powder.
Well, that is good to know. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. I always like finding things without extra everything in them. All right, so that was our first recipe. On to our second recipe, hot cocoa with real chocolate. So the steps in this are a little bit extra, but if you're a super beginner on making anything by yourself, I would recommend leading on to the directions. But it says melt your chocolate in the microwave in small 30-second to 10-second intervals. You can actually, once you've heated your milk up, add it to your pan and just whisk really well. But if you feel uncomfortable, always melting the chocolate ahead of time is usually an easier plan.
Ian's going to help you.
So now we are going to go on to hot cocoa with real chocolate. Again, I have scaled this recipe down to only make 1 hot cup of cocoa, so I don't have 12 to drink on my own. And I'm also using lactose-free milk because I am lactose intolerant and I love milk. But you can also use any kind of dairy-free milk, coconut milk, hazelnut milk, almond milk, soy milk, anything that you specifically like. So I've put my cup of milk into my pan. So the recipe says sugar. If you are using already sweetened chocolate, which I am, I just went and got myself a nice bag of Ghirardelli chocolate from the store. And that already has sugar in it. So adding the sugar, unless you really like very sweet hot chocolate, would be slightly redundant and unnecessary. So I'm choosing to omit the sugar into my recipe and instead just use plain chocolate. But if you were to use your chocolate, now would be the step to mix your sugar into your milk and slowly start heating that up together. So I'm going to put this on medium heat, get it going a little faster. And then 8 ounces is 1 cup. So you would take 1 cup of chocolate chips. I am using 1/4 of this recipe, so I'm using 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. And this is one of the more straightforward recipes because there's no mixing of hot cocoa or anything. It's quite literally just heating up milk and mixing chocolate into it together, which is, I'll show you later on. I have a really nifty thing that I got. It is called a hot cocoa shaker. And somebody had made this on Kickstarter. And just the thought of heating up milk and putting chocolate chips and shaking this got me very excited as a hot chocolate lover. So obviously I bought myself one. And that you can have hot cocoa in 2 minutes flat with that. You're waiting for the milk to heat up essentially.
Wow.
So for this, I have my milk heated up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my little bit of vanilla. And I'm going to add my pinch of salt, because remember, salt is very important in chocolate recipes. And then I am going to add my chocolate chips. Now, I highly recommend stirring constantly, because chocolate has a tendency to scorch on the bottom of any pan that it likes to touch. So if you keep it moving around, it will not give you any chunky chocolate bits. Also, if you do find that you've scorched your recipe and you catch it in time, you can always pour it through a strainer of any kind, and that will really help to mitigate any unwanted particles, shall we say, in your hot cocoa. So this happens very, very, very quickly. So we will keep stirring and stirring and stirring, making sure you can turn the temperature down a little lower right now once you've got everything melted. And that, my friends, is hot cocoa with real chocolate. Very, very, very simple. Okay. We're going to rinse out our pot very quickly. Now, this next recipe I designed for those who really like chocolate. This is my combination of both of the recipes we just did. It is real chocolate and, actually, you know what? We got to give this a try. Very different taste profile than the hot cocoa powdered mix. Rich, for sure. All right, so now we have our pots, and we will go on to hot cocoa with powdered cocoa and real chocolate. Again, we have scaled this recipe down to 1/4 of its size. So instead of, this is one of the easier recipes to quarter just because it's in whole 4s already. So anything that's a 4 goes down to a 2 for half the recipe, or a 1 if you want 1 serving of the recipe. So for our 1-person hot cocoa, we're doing 1 cup of milk. And then to split 1/4 cup is a little harder, especially in 4, because 1/8 would be half of it, and then about 2 tablespoons would be 1/4 of it. So because of the sake of loving chocolate, I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And then also same thing with sugar. You are going to want to use 2 tablespoons of sugar. And same as before, a little pinch of salt. I've been using, it's quite literally called the pinch sized measuring spoon, but it's a 1/16 of a teaspoon. So quite literally a good sized pinch. And then we are going to stir that together in our saucepan, just like we did in our first recipe. You can turn your heat on low at this point, and then slowly start adding your milk. I do little bits at a time, because once you start getting a paste formed, that's going to help your ingredients melt together. That's going to dissolve all the sugar. That's going to incorporate all of the cocoa powder. So just give it a nice couple gentle stirs. I'll try to focus down on here. So little bits of milk at a time. And again, this is going to ensure that you don't have little chunks of powder in your cup of hot cocoa. All right, there we are. Beautiful. So should just call this one Chocolate Lovers. Because I have a feeling just by looking at this and the fact that we haven't added our second round of chocolate, it's going to be quite sweet. Now for our half cup of chocolate, again, we are going to do an eighth a cup because a half of a half is a quarter, and then a half of a quarter is an eighth. So just get an eighth cup of that, put it into your mixture, and then again, whisk consistently, getting all the edges, because sometimes chocolate likes to sneak to the outside edges of the pan, and that's where it sticks and burns. So get this going. Oh yeah, this might even act like coffee. There's so much chocolate in here with some of the caffeine. You know, for me, I am lactose and caffeine intolerant, so sometimes this gives my heart a little jumpy. Okay. Perfect. Down. You see, it's a nice uniform mixture. Super, super dark and chocolatey, which I'm excited about. And we can add our little pinch of vanilla in at the end, which I almost forgot to do. If you can go the extra mile and add vanilla, I highly would recommend it. It just adds another layer of flavor that you would not already have. So now that that is ready, we've whisked it vigorously. You can also keep whisking it more if you like a foamier hot chocolate, more kind of like a latte-esque type drink. I don't really need that per se, so I just made it simply whisking normally. Then our little bit of marshmallows. And now to test the final product. Yep. If you love chocolate, that's going to be your recipe. I mean, granted, all of these are, in fact, very chocolatey, very delicious, in their own rights, all different. So we have our very chocolatey one. And we have our regular plain chocolate. And then we have our straight powdered mix. And as I said, if you have the time, want, need, desire to try all three recipes and do a comparison side by side, you will definitely notice a difference in flavor in all of them. And all rightfully good and made specifically by you with your own fresh, non-preservative filled ingredients. And there you are. And the last hot cup of cocoa I need to show you, or actually I just won't show you, I'll explain it to you because I can't drink any more hot cocoa than 3 cups. This is already a lot. My hot cocoa maker. So I put a link on the bottom of the description of the event for this. It's by a company called the Chocolate Society out of the United Kingdom. And what's really neat is they have, I don't know if you can see it on here, you can probably not, but they have a max fill line. They have how many ounces in each cup you'd like. I usually, what I do, just because I want to keep the longevity of this, I don't microwave this, but I microwave a mug of hot milk. Well, it starts out cold. I microwave a mug of milk for 2 minutes, and then I add about 1 ounce worth of hot chocolate. And this is what's really cool about this is you can make however many amounts of chocolate you want will make it more chocolatey. If you barely want it chocolatey, don't put a lot of chips in it. But if you do, you can play around with it. And the only thing is you just go up to the fill line. The cap is really neat. And they actually, when they were updating us on their Kickstarter, were having a lot of trouble with this. So it looks like a normal flat lid, but it actually, what happens is it pops up due to the heat expansion when you start shaking it. So when you start using the hot cocoa maker, you put your chocolate in there, then you pour your hot milk on top, you depress the lid, you put it on, and then all you do is shake it for about 10 to 20 seconds. And what happens is, because of the design of the actual cup, the top will pop up a little bit, allowing for heat expansion so the top doesn't explode off in a horrible way. And then it gets very foamy and super rich. And I would highly recommend it if you love hot chocolate and you're a lazy drinker, kind of like I am. I don't like to do all the saucepan measuring stuff every day, but if you want hot chocolate in 2 minutes and 15 seconds, I'd highly recommend getting this little nifty gadget. Okay, well, that is our hot cocoa class of the day. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Laurel O'Donnell, owner of Putting on the Mitts, and this was in partnership with STEPS, which is Seneca Town's Engaging People. And that is an awesome community program that has personally sponsored my business as well as numerous businesses around the area. We do a lot of community outreach. We have a dance party happening this Sunday.
A Christmas dance party with a tree lighting.
Yes. So in this time of quarantine, we're all just trying to stay sane, stay happy, still love each other, and still help out the community. So again, thank you for joining, and I hope to see you the next class we decide to do, which we will keep you abreast on.
Great.
So much.
Good job.
Thanks.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
You did good.
We did it.
You did good. And we had 2 viewers.
I know. One of them was my aunt. It was adorable.
It was still your aunt. It doesn't matter. We had 2 viewers.
I know. Oh my gosh, my phone. Hold on.
All right. Go get your phone and talk to me later.
Ugh. It's just Pennsylvania calling about my extended warranty that I don't have. I keep getting spam calls from the state of Pennsylvania. It's like, I
Don't you hate that?
even live in the state of Pennsylvania.
I
I
know.
have for years.
I have hot
Claire has made herself hot cocoa with a no, James made it for her with a candy cane. She put a candy cane in her hot cocoa.
Ooh, that's a great idea. Mint
And now you get to drink hot cocoa all day and you're gonna be on a caffeine high.
I know, I'm good. Like,
You'll be texting me like 10 texts a minute.
I read the whole book again. Oh my god.
All right. I'm gonna go get dressed for the day now.
Cool. I'm gonna clean my kitchen and do something. I don't know.
Well, and call your dad will call you back.
Yep, I gotta call my dad. Thank
That and all that stuff.
I'll be drinking hot cocoa.
you. Bye. Thanks for doing this.
I'll go all day. Bye, Laurel.